And we're back, people. And we're back, people. We are back. Your favorite. Oh, you know how long it's been since I said that. Your favorite sports podcast, roaming the airwaves, rolling with Ramos, is back. I happen to be the one that holds the last name Ramos, and as always, as forever, I want to thank our general. I want to thank our logo, Mike Ramos, Dad. Hey, I made it back. We made it back. I hope you're good up there. Episode 135. We missed some episodes. If you know anything about my personal life, I left, came up north, worked for four letters, and in the midst of that time, I kind of had to get away from the bread and butter. But now I'm able to get my bread back out, and I'm able to, just put a little bit of butter on it. Maybe I could put on some jelly, strawberry preferably, and everything is okay. This is episode 135 because we still on the road to 200. It never left us. The comeback episode. Oh, it's so good to see you. Tristan, my man, my guy. What's up? It's good to see you.
What's going on? What's going on? Definitely good to be seen, be seen on this show. As you know, like I said, while Mikkel was doing big things in the four letters, I had started another show uh, with a couple of my boys. Shout outs to my guys on Just a Fan podcast. So strictly talking about NFL football and college football. So I was doing that on that end. Um, and Mikkel, had put it in my ear for a while now that she wanted to get back into doing the show. And I was like, of course. So it's just a matter of just trying to get this, get it all together and get it rolling. And it feels good to be back on this side again, to be able to talk about not just football. Like love my show, still doing that show. It's on every Wednesday, but here we get to talk about all sports: football, basketball, baseball, tennis, soccer, whatever is sports involved, we're about it. So it definitely excited about being back on here, having Mikkel being back on here so she could do her thing, where she knows how to do it and do it well. And yeah, I'm ready to get started.
He's so modest because we all know he's the star. By the way, I still don't follow instructions. I messed that whole 2 minutes up still.
It's fine,
I
but
know you were on the
we're
I
trying to
know
get the
you were on
refresher.
the other end saying talk. And I was looking for the video. I don't know what happened.
That's all good. It's
Any
all good.
Anyways, people, we're back. America, you're looking at us. We're looking at you. Make sure you drop those comments down below. Tristan's going to be monitoring them. You talk to us. You see us. We are back. Speaking of back, speaking of GOAT things, speaking of making your presence known all the time, Tristan, we start on the court. A'ja Wilson, already in GOAT territory. This is turning out to be a major year for A'ja Wilson, leading team women's basketball, Team USA, to a gold medal and adds more history to an impressive resume. What did she do? Well, she becomes the first player to score 1,000 points in a regular season. She reached the milestone after hitting a fadeaway jumper with less than 2 minutes remaining in the Aces 84-71 victory over Connecticut. She was presented with the game ball alongside her parents, and of course, she danced with her teammates. An emotional Wilson with teammates afterwards in the locker room. She says, I hope y'all know how much I love each and every last one of y'all. Y'all will never understand how much y'all mean to me because there's days where I hate being A'ja Wilson. I hate it. But when I come to work and I see y'all smiling and I see y'all happy, it makes me who I am. Tristan, in this, we've seen a lot of GOATs. Diana Taurasi still in the league. We've seen Sue Bird. We've seen Cheryl Swoops. We've seen a lot of good ones on that hardwood when it comes to the women's side. But this
For sure.
generation knows Asia. How does this feast goes for her?
Well, I kind of I don't really. I was trying to compare. I'm a big Asia Wilson fan, and I'm like one of those like legitimate fans, like not one of those people that just got around with the WNBA and was hot.
Ugh,
Like Mikel can
yeah,
attest. I've been a fan
yeah.
since, and I've been a fan of Asia Wilson since her days in South Carolina. Go Gamecocks! So like I've been a fan. So I was trying to figure out how to compare her, who to compare her to, and like from the men's side to kind of give perspective for those that might still be a novice about the WNBA. But to be quite honest with you, there really there really isn't, not with the way she plays the game. Because I wouldn't put her as like a LeBron or whatever. I wouldn't put her as that. She's literally just an unstoppable weapon. I mean, maybe you want to say, that 3-4 span year of Lakers Shaq, like when he was just like an unstoppable force. But she has a shot. I think the thing that makes her even more special this season, probably more than any other season she's been in, and she hasn't been in the league that long, so she still got ways to go. I think it's like what 7, 6, 7 for her, so
Mm-hmm.
she still got some ways to play. But the thing that makes her so special in regards to this is the fact that when coming out of South Carolina, she already had the defensive prowess that was always there, so that was obvious. But the other thing that that made her good was just her inside game, her post up game. She was strong, she was tough, she was gritty. What has elevated for her, in my eyes, watching her play, is her mid range and her outside shot is
Yeah.
more consistent than it's ever been. So now you had someone that already had decent handle with the ball. You already had somebody that had really good vision. You had somebody that plays both sides of the ball. Best two-way player in the WNBA by far. And then now you have someone that already had a post game, already could play inside, but now they can play outside and play mid range too. You're literally, you don't have any other, excuse me, you don't really have any other option to go for her. Like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you could try to play her on the inside. She's going to bully you. You could try to leave her open on the outside. She's going to kill you with a three or kill you with a mid range game. And she's clutch. Um, but what can you do with her? Like there's really no answer. And shout outs to somebody that just commented saying that Diana Taurasi is the GOAT of WNBA. But I feel like
Mm.
I love Diana.
Yeah,
Mikel
I
love
love
Diana too.
Diana.
She's gonna elaborate on that. But understand this. Now, this is the point where I talk about like the comparing on the men's side. Diana's like the Jordan for the WNBA. People look at
Yeah.
her like she is the GOAT. Well, then Asia Wilson will be your either be your well, she'll probably be your LeBron. Because I think Paige, that's going to come out of Connecticut as well. I think she'll be like the Kobe to
I'm about
the
to say,
Diana.
where do we put Kobe in all this? Because when you talk
I,
about Diana and you
I
talk
will.
about
I
the
will.
White Mamba, we gotta make the correlation here.
I know that's the correlation. Like they call her the White Mamba, but I'm saying just as far as a comparison ordeal, like Diana is looked at as the Jordan. I think Paige, Buckers, Ruckers,
Beckers.
Beckers. Thank you, Paige Beckers. When she comes out to the WNBA, she's going to be like the Kobe to Diana's Jordan. Like that's how I look at it. But Asia Wilson would be the LeBron because it's like she's going to win MVP. I think that's pretty
Yeah.
much clear. She's
Well,
going to win MVP. Not only is she going to win MVP, she more than likely is going to win Defensive Player of the Year. So if she wins MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, goes and when the playoffs are starting, wins the WNBA championship, and is a Finals MVP again, what can you say? Okay,
you know,
now we got to have a discussion about the GOAT conversation because she's not going away.
you already answered my second question. What I will say to piggyback off of you, what you said, in a new league that has been so propelled because of the collegiate game and the seniors of last year. And You're talking about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, and this is the changing of the guard, Cameron Brink. Everything's going to change, and you still had that. Not even really an elder statesman. You had someone that's been consistent, and they were supposed to come to change it all. So in a league where everyone's paying attention now, like you're saying, in a league where this rookie class was just astronomical, she's still showing them who she is. And by the way, if you're saying that the MVP is unanimous, guess what? She won the award in 2020 and 2022. Should she win it? Well, then again, we're not going to say should we, because she's just going to do it, right?
Who else?
She's just going to do it. So if she does, when she does it, she will be the fourth in league history to win it 3 times. We always talk about company. She joins the company of Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Lauren Jackson. Tristan, she averages a league high 27 points and 2.6 blocks per game. Her 12 rebounds per game are second in the WNBA behind Chicago Sky rookie Angel Reese. And we all know Angel unexpectedly went down with a wrist injury, so she will not finish the season. And Angel has that record now, but it still can become ages too. Reese set the WNBA single season record for rebounds in the season, but Wilson can also claim that record as well. Tristan, it only takes 3 of them for her to get it. 3 rebounds in the final 2 games to take it over.
Oh, so basically the next game she's gonna have it. That's basically what we're saying. Okay. I mean, like I said, this is one of the more dominating seasons by a player, I think, male or female. This is again probably since Jordan. Closest thing was Kobe when he was on that scoring prowess. I think that was what 07, 08, one of those when he was on that scoring prowess. But he also made first
40
team
plus
all defense
games and all that. Yeah.
But he was also first team all defense. Like this is the closest that we're getting, that we're seeing this where she's literally there's no one else. It's not to discredit anybody. There's no one else that you can think of that say they challenging her for the MVP. For what she's doing this year, no. There's no one else. And then again, you are looking at the fact that she's averaging like 2-3 blocks a game. So she's going to probably be the defensive player of the year because again, there's no one dominating more on the defensive side in the NBA right now other than her. So again, she's probably going to get the rebounding title based on what you just said. She's going to get that record. She's the first woman to score 1,000 points in a season. Going to get the MVP. Probably going to get Defensive Player of the Year. If she wins the championship, which I don't see how she's not, because we know that I know Phoenix was hot for a minute, but then they kind of cooled off a little bit. I think Chicago's going to miss the rebounding with Angel Reese, and they're still a young team as well. What was the other? Liberty's too inconsistent.
My only concern was the Lynx, but
maybe right, exactly. So it just seems all roads lead to her getting really decorated, basically. On
gold medal.
I forgot gold medal. So this is one of the.
It's like ego status.
Yes, exactly. This is one of the more decorated seasons, I think, from male and female perspective. This is one of the more decorated seasons that we've seen from an individual. Like this is historic. Like and it's so sad because as great as the WNBA fandom is growing and all that stuff, it's still not. It pales in comparison of the NBA. Like that's like if LeBron was having this kind of year where he won the gold medal because he was in the Olympics, they won the gold medal, scoring champion, defensive player of the year, Lakers getting into the playoffs, getting to the championship. Like that would be we be talking about LeBron every day. Like that's how crazy it would be if this was on the male side.
God forbid that this attention wouldn't be here. And you alluded earlier to all these new fans out here.
Yeah, welcome.
God forbid this attention wasn't here. She probably wouldn't be even getting the attention.
Exactly. A'ja Wilson is one of one, best two-way player in the league, best player in the league right now. And she's been in the league for a while, but she ain't old. Like she can do this for a number of years and be all right. Like Just enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride.
Well, Asia, if you said that sometimes you hate being Asia, we love you, girl. Let's continue to uplift her. As I'm reading that statement, I'm thinking about mental health and the fact that she
Oh,
does
and
so
yes,
many things.
that speech was powerful. Yeah, that was definitely powerful, and really got to see another side. If anything, that probably gained she probably gained more fans from that because you got to see a real vulnerable
Yeah.
side to her. Yeah,
And keep the
awesome.
outfits going, especially the one where you look like Z9 Warrior Princess. It was given
Listen,
Nebula.
she
The
listen.
WNBA Nebula.
She could do no wrong. She could do no wrong in my eyes. She could do no wrong in my eyes. Do your thing, Asia.
15 minutes in. If you're tuned into your favorite sports podcast from the airways, Roland Ramos, episode 135, the comeback edition. Tristan and me. We're looking at you. You're looking at us. It's good to see you again. Oh my gosh. We move on to somebody else that was in the Olympics. We go on to the gymnastics and something that didn't go a certain particular person's way. Jordan
Yeah.
Childs. According to NPR News, American gymnast Jordan Childs, whose bronze medal was revoked by an arbitration court days after the floor exercise final in Paris, has appealed her case to Switzerland's highest federal court. Again, it was given to Romanian Ana Barbosa. Who could forget, Tristan? You have a daughter. You can't forget this about the viral and historic moment that happened during medal ceremony that saw the first three black women
Yep.
hit the podium, hit the
Yep.
medals at the same time in Olympic gymnast event. We've never seen it before.
Yep.
Arbitration court determined a last minute inquiry that had boosted Child's score into the third place was filed a few seconds too late, 4 seconds to be exact. Gymnastics rules require the final gymnast of a competition to file an inquiry within 1 minute. As you recall, if we go back to the Olympics, I give you the tale of what happened. When her score was first posted at competition on August 5th, it appears Childs had finished in fifth place with a score of 13.666, just shy of Romanian Ana Barbosu, who had scored 13.7. But Child's coach believed the judges had scored her incorrectly and filed an inquiry shortly after. The judges agreed, adjusting Child's score upward by a tenth of a point to 13.766. US argued the correct timing of the inquiry. They also tried to submit a video. The
Yeah.
Romanian Gymnastics Federation appealed to the independent arbitration court. Anna was given slash awarded, girl, I wouldn't even want that medal, was given and awarded the medal at a ceremony in Bucharest last month. Now, Tristan, we know what Jordan went through in
Hmm.
regards to her losing her medal. You know, Flavor Flav had something to give her. He gave her a big clock. Someone was in
Loved
the
it.
comments saying, Flips, come get your clock. That was hilarious. Anyways, we know what she went through and the mental health. She went offline for a minute. Now she's back doing interviews. She's kind of been able to
Well,
have this resurgent thing where she's been in New York Fashion Week. Everybody's in support of her. But when this first happened, how did you feel for Jordan? And what did you feel of even the decision to take it back?
oh, I was so angry. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. I thought it was like a joke. Um, someone was putting something on. I'm like, oh, somebody just being a hater. And then I kept seeing things keep um, escalating, and I'm like, y'all really trying to take this bronze medal off of? And the reasoning, the technicality was so poor. And I was like, y'all just really don't want to see this black girl magic happen, huh? Like you really want to go this far and as to strip her. Like y'all couldn't even it wasn't even anything she did wrong. Y'all messed up. Y'all messed up, but want to punish her for you messing up. Like I couldn't imagine because you know, we're big about the Olympics and when it comes around, my family, we're all tuned in. And to hear her story
Yeah.
um of what she especially what she went through in the previous Olympics, what Simone Biles went through, the other young lady, her name slips around, forgive me, her slips around, what she went through this past year with her illness. And to be there. It was really a moment for those women.
Suni Lee.
Suni Lee. Thank you. Forgive me, Suni Lee. I mean, for what she, for her to have the illness she had to perform the way she performed. I mean, it was just all three of them just had such amazing stories, amazing perseverance, and I felt like Jordan was robbed
Yeah.
of that entire experience. Even with her, I know trying is appealing it and all that stuff to get it back, but it was just like even returning it or even giving it back, I just felt like you robbed this woman of something. It was just unnecessary. Like you just didn't have to do that to her. Like how can you saw how she performed. I could almost understand if it was something of her that she did wrong, something that she maybe should have been DQ'd or whatever. Like I could understand it was something from her performance, but this was literally a technicality that you guys messed up on, but punished her for it. I was completely outraged. I felt for her so badly.
Yeah.
Um, immediately I went to social media and was talking about it, saying this was outrageous. I saw so many people coming in to support her. I know I think her mother or somebody had said that she was taking a break from social media, rightfully so, because I mean, you just don't want to see all that. But man, that was just so heartbreaking.
What's even more egregious is the Federation's inconsiderateness in consideration, excuse me, to look at the video the U.S. tried to provide. And to your point, in extending that, we got 3 Black women on the podium. If you know Rebecca Andre's story, she trains with Simone Biles, knee injury after knee injury after knee injury,
I think like
and look what this woman
three
came in
ACLs.
and
Yeah,
look what
it's
this woman
amazing,
came in and do. Black women, Black
amazing,
girl power was at full display. And if you watch
amazing.
Jordan, she's so effervescent. She's so jovial. She truly enjoys the sport. After everything she did, whether it was vault or floor exercise, she's putting her hands in the air, pumping up. She's showing her gratitude. She's
Yeah,
giving you all the emotion. This is what was said of her. In her appeals to the Swiss court, Childs also asked the CAS to remove arbitrator Hamid Garavi from any future hearing. Garavi, the presiding arbitrator on Child's leaving, is currently providing legal counsel to Romania in other international proceedings. The New York Times reported last month that the court told Times that Garavi had disclosed the work and the name of the parties that had objected to his participation as chair. Maybe he swayed them a little bit. Jordan
right.
Child's appeals present the international community with an easy legal question. Will everyone stand by while an Olympic athlete who has done only the right thing is stripped of her medal because of a fundamental unfairness in an ad hoc arbitration process? The answer to that question should be no. Maurice Msu, legal counsel for Childs, said in a statement, every part of the Olympics, including the arbitration process, should stand for fair play. And if you got a guy helping you out that's part of the Romanian committee, and Romania is, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. I just, I really, the only right thing to do, the only right thing to do is to give her bronze. But you've already scarred it. You've already ruined it.
Yeah.
But the very least is just give her bronze. Just give her bronze back. Like you just again, I can't emphasize this enough. Like you already messed this up.
Yeah.
You already messed this up. There's nothing you can say to her. There's nothing you could say to her family. There's nothing you could say to her team. There's nothing you can say to America. Like you, there's nothing you can say. You've already screwed this up. Just her um let her have her bronze. Let it be there because she did what she was supposed to do. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. She should not be punished for that.
Look, they would have to have Road at Dawn to come knock on my door to grab that thing out my hand.
Oh, I'd have hit that thing. You hear me?
They have to go find it in the Parisian River. They have to
Listen,
go through some. You gonna take what from me? Get out of
listen.
here.
You'd have never found that from me. I promise you.
Best to Jordan Child. We miss her. We wish her the best. Make sure you continue to drop those comments down below. Talk to us. Tristan, some you haven't done in a while. You've been talking some NFL, but some you haven't done in a while. We got a nice little known segment on this show called College Football with Tristan. You gave me 2 points that you wanted to touch on today, and I'm just going to allow, if you allow me just to set them up, I'll set them up for you.
Sure,
So the
sure,
first
sure.
one, we go to Colorado in prime time. Every pun intended for that. The Colorado Buffaloes winners over Colorado State Rams 28-9. They sit at 2-1. Buffalo QB Shador Sanders 36 to 49, 310 yards, 4 TDs. The week before, Tristan, Shador faced some ridicule for walking off the field before the end of his team's 28-10 loss. Some would say that 28-10 loss was rigorous. But that 28-10 loss to the Nebraska Cornhuskers, Sanders was hit hard in the head on his final drive of the game. He managed to finish the drive and hit LaJohntay Wester for a touchdown. He went back to the locker room before the game was over. Backup QB Ryan Staub took over to finish the game. It wasn't clear whether Sanders was injured on the play. He walked into the locker room under his own power, but people were not happy about it, Tristan. He had 23 of 28, 244 yards passing, one touchdown, and the INT, the lone INT, was returned for a touchdown. He also went on to blame his offensive line once they asked him about him not returning back to the field. I mean, how many times did Nebraska quarterback Dylan Raiola get touched? He asked. Of course, when you're able to run the ball consistently, that opens up the pass, you know. But it's like you've got to understand what your team's good at. Why would you keep running the ball when we get out there and there's a must-win situation? We don't get it. He must be having an issue with his dad at this point. Your dad's your coach. I don't know how. Is this a prelude to what we're going to be experiencing when LeBron and Bronny get on the court? I don't know. Anyways, Tristan, Chris Rock, 50 Cent. He was shot 9 times. Shador was sacked 5 of them, Tristan.
Well,
We're
listen,
talking about stock. You want to talk about draft stock? There you go.
I do. So here's the thing. When it comes to Shador Sanders is very interesting to me, because he is a very smart and calculating quarterback. He knows what he's doing. I think a lot of people, had doubts about him because they're like, oh, it's Dion's kid, and they didn't really take it seriously with him. But he actually really knows his football. Like he really does have that IQ, and has the arm talent. Is deceptively elusive. I'll probably put him in like probably the Jameis Winston category as far as like stature and skill set, just a little less strength on the arm, but that same kind of deceptive elusiveness. Um, you know, but very, very, very high IQ. And the thing about it is that he's his daddy's son. Like
Yeah.
his personality is unapologetic. And just like Prime, it's kind of like an acquired taste. You either love it or you hate it. Like it's there's no in between. So with him, it's just a matter of you know next year's draft. He's supposed to come out. It's not really a strong quarterback draft. Um, like Quentin Ewers is one. I think the kid from Oregon possibly. Um, Cam Ward from the University of Miami. He might be another one that comes out. The Bet kid from Georgia, and then Shadur. Like those are going to be the marquee QBs going for next year's draft, 2025. And again, with Shadur, it's really just a matter of it's an acquired taste or not. I think the thing with him, the only thing that bothers me with his game is the fact of if sometimes he'll hold the ball too long. He's trying to make every play, and sometimes you got to learn to throw it away and live to fight another day.
Yeah.
So it's not all his offensive line. Some of it is him. A majority of it is his offensive line, but some of it is him holding the ball too long, always trying to make the big play. Um, but he's going to be up there. Like I think people got to get that out of their mind. Like I think the look of it is like, oh, it's Deion's son, it's Deion's son, it's Deion's son. It's like, no, just watch him play. Like, take the name off him. Watch him play quarterback with a good pocket. It don't got to be perfect, but a good pocket. Watch him play QB. He's cerebral. He's one of the better ones in the league. I mean, in college football for sure. Um, he had a better showing. They had a better showing against Colorado State this past Saturday. Offensive line did their thing, and he went through what, four touchdowns, three? No, two touchdowns. Threw two touchdowns. Now Travis Hunter, on the other hand, now he's like an outlier. We've never seen this. We've never seen this. I'm telling y'all right now. Y'all can mention Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey. You can mention Prime himself. We never seen a player play both sides full time and is the number one on both sides of the ball. He's the number one corner on the team. He's the number one receiver on the team. And literally on a day in or day out basis, we get to see him be the best player on the field on both sides of the ball. It's impressive. The guy had 100 something yards and two touchdowns on Saturday, and he had an interception. Like, this is not something that we see. Okay. Now, can he do that in the pro? I don't know. That's a
Mm-hmm.
different animal. I don't know you could go full time both sides of the ball. And again, we talking about Charles Woodson won the Heisman playing like that. But in the NFL, he had to make a decision. What were you going to play? Some people think he's better. Some people think he's going to get more money as a wide receiver if he claims to be a wide receiver going into the draft. Some people think he's a better corner than he is a wide receiver. We don't know. But right now in college football, let's enjoy this two-way unicorn because that's what he is. The man plays 100 and something snaps a game
Mm.
and does not look gassed.
Well,
I mean,
we looking at him, he looking at us. We in our late 30s. You know.
but well, that's true. But even with the player, his teammates, he's the one that does not look winded. Barely, he look like he barely broke a sweat. I'm just like, I don't. You're unreal, bro. You're unreal. Like it's like he got four lungs. I don't understand. But let's just enjoy the ride with him. He has a chance to be. I would say Shadur probably could be in the top 10 in the first round, just because QBs are people want QBs. But I think Travis Hunter got a chance to be in the top 3, top 5. That skill set is. I mean, it's like getting two. It's like drafting two players in one. I mean, how can you not want that?
Our next conversation, Tristan, takes us to legacy. Because at this point, when you mention this name, you're going to talk about legacy. You're going to talk
For
about
sure,
a no. You're going to talk about a continuation of legacy. We
for
go to
sure.
Texas. The number one Texas football team will prepare for the final non-conference game on the 2024 schedule with QB Heisman Trophy leader Quinn Ewers, as you alluded to him. He's con-
That's right.
he's considered questionable against Louisiana Monroe Saturday. Coach Steve Sarkisian said Monday. Ewers left last Saturday's game, even though they won 56-7 over UTSA with 12:19 remaining in the second quarter. Sarkisian confirmed on Monday that Ewers' injury occurred when he found tight end Gunnar Helm on a corner route for a 49-yard gain. If Ewers can't go, hey man, the Mannings come marching in. Arch Manning would make his first start of his career in relief of Ewers. Manning was outstanding last Saturday. He
Yep,
went for
yep.
9 for 12, Tristan, through the air for 223 yards with 4 touchdowns. Shout out to his father, Connor. Shout out to his shout out to his uncles. Damn. And then your grandfather. It gets a
Yeah,
little
for
bit
sure.
real.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, listen, it's crazy because you're dealing with somebody that this was a legacy thing. Anyone that paid attention to football has literally been waiting for us to see Arch Manning play football. Like anyone that's a football fan has known about Arch Manning for what I would say about I would say about 3 to 4 or 5 years now. Like we've all been anticipating Arch Manning. Arch Manning in high school looked like he had no business playing in high school. It was like, nah, you need to be in college right now. Like you're better than everybody on this football field. Like it's not even remotely close. And to have your uncles be one's already in the Hall of Fame, one is probably going to get in the Hall of Fame next year. Super Bowl champions, have records like they've had awesome careers in the NFL. Your grandfather, had he been on a better team, probably would have been a Hall of Famer because anyone that talks about Archie Manning and playing in New Orleans always says that Archie Manning was a dog. They just had a terrible squad, but he was always the marquee. His dad was awesome in high school, was going to be awesome in college, but he had that illness. But he was going to be awesome. Like you come from the family tree of the Mannings. Like they call it the first football family is the Mannings, and basically watching Arch Manning. I know I've been watching him since he was like a freshman in high school. Like when I first heard Arch Manning was playing football, I said, I gotta see this. What you're looking at, and I'm not exaggerating, what you're looking at is the perfect combination of all the Mannings. You got the gutsiness of Eli. You got the attitude, that competitive fire of Peyton. You got the brain of Peyton, and then you got the athleticism of his grandfather and his daddy, all in one player. That's what you see. The guy threw what? He threw like a 60 something 70-yard touchdown pass. He ran for another 60 something yard touchdown run. This is all on Saturday. Now again, it was against I think it was UTEP. So
Mm-hmm.
we gotta see what it looks like in the bigger schools. We gotta see what it looks like. But this is what I've been looking forward to seeing. Now, he wanted to stay in Texas. He wanted to stay in Texas because Steve Sarkisian, if you look at his track record with quarterbacks, he's great. So he wanted to learn from him because he could have transferred when Quentin Ewers, for whatever reason, decided to come back to Texas instead of going to the draft last year. He Arch Manning could be like, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and transfer out of here, go to another school where I know I'm going to start and be cool. He decided to stay. I promise you, Arch Manning is not on the bench because of less talent.
Mm.
Arch Manning is on the bench because Quentin Ewers has earned the right to be the starter because of what he's done for that program. So unless barring injury, like he is hurt right now, barring injury, Quentin Ewers is going to be a starting quarterback for the University of Texas. But come next fall, it's going to be the Arch Manning show, and listen, we're just going to enjoy 1 year of him at Texas, and then he's probably going to be the number one pick in the 2026 draft. Like that's how good he is. That's how ready he is. You see the swagger. He's got some swagger to him. Like I told you, he got that Peyton swagger. It's in there, and you see it. The team loves him. Coaches love him. He's a monster. Only thing I'm gonna say with Quentin Ewers is because he's gonna when he comes back from his injury, Steve Sarkisian is gonna honor him and make him be a starter again. But what I will say is this: you better watch your back because if you have any slippage, the fans are going to demand for Arch Manning to be back in the starting lineup.
That's crazy you say that because I was going to ask you. So we don't have to look too forward to next year for the media circus that's going to be surrounding Texas and how all these legendary men you just named are going to come be in Texas. We're going to already see it if Quinn can't get it together.
If Quinn Ewers struggles, then yes, we're gonna hear you're gonna hear some uproar. You're going to hear some uproar from the fans because they've seen what Arch Manning can do. They're going to want more of that. If Quentin Ewers, the only reason why it's being kept at bay is because Quentin Ewers has been balling. That's
Yeah.
literally the only reason. But if he comes back from the injury, when he comes back from the injury, if he's not the same cat and he struggles, we're going to hear some noise. Trust me.
Episode 135. The comeback. I'm getting in your face now. The comeback edition. Make sure you still drop those comments below. Make sure you talk to us. I want to go into a couple of guys that's already in the league. Dun, 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 dun.
Sure.
We're going to regale the tale that was Monday Night Football. That was one hell of a Monday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, it was lit. You got Kelce in the booth. You got Jason Kelce in the booth. You got Jason Kelce on the stage. Retirement has looked very good on him. And I'm glad that he was listening to his forefathers before. Shaq even had a conversation with him and said, hey, this is all never going anywhere. But your life after is never gonna go anywhere neither. And That's you need to take a heed to that. Your wife, your girls, your family. He is totally living. I feel like he's living an American dream right now. It was lit in Philly. It didn't end lit in Philly for Philly, but it was lit in Philly. The Eagles at home against the Falcons. $180 million, Tristan, is what they paid Kirk Cousins to come to Atlanta, to come to the Falcons. You did what you did and you drafted Penix. Some of them were like, huh? When that happened. Concerns about the 36-year-old veterans. Why you say that? It just puts me in the memory of, how egregious not putting beast mode in the game was and how red you turn. But we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. 36-year-old veteran season opener with the Atlanta Falcons and how he would get back to form after tearing his Achilles tendon. Cousins led a flawless last-minute drive for Atlanta and connected with Drake London. What a name. That's an awesome name. Drake London for a 7-yard touchdown with 34 seconds left to give the Falcons a stunning. Oh, they were stunned in Philly. 22-21 victory over the Eagles on Monday night. Cousins went 5 for 6, Tristan, for 70 yards on that final drive alone. 20 of 29 in general, 241 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson, 14 carries, 97 yards. Darryl Mooney, 3 receptions, 88 yards. He got a touchdown. And, of course, Drake London, 6 receptions, 54 yards. He got the game-winning one, respectively. Before we talk about the Eagles, before we even get into that, because there's so much to get into that, shout out to Kirky, because I used to call him Kirky when he was on the Redskins, Commanders, Washington football team, whatever you want to call us. Kirky. Shout out to him. How important was this win for the Falcons?
Oh, definitely important for the Falcons. Listen, you're talking about beating a team that people consider not only for the playoffs, but consider for potentially the Super Bowl. And and with the acquisition of Saquon Barkley, you're thinking that it's somewhat of a juggernaut on the offensive side of the ball. Now, albeit they didn't have AJ Brown last night, and they seem like they might not have him for another couple of weeks, but still, it's the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They were just in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So, and I think for people that kind of wrote off Atlanta, thinking there's still a lot of holes to be filled. I think they underestimated how great that defense is. Shout out to Raheem Morris getting a second shot at being a head coach. I'm all for black head coaches, black quarterbacks, black GMs, all that. So shout outs to him having that defense ready enough for the challenge. And again, like you said, shout outs to Kirk Cousins for doing his thing. We know he's not 100% from that Achilles, but he did something that has always kind of been his Achilles heel. It's not only win on primetime, but have those game-winning drives.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, he always had flashes, but primetime was always the kind of thing that kind of, for whatever reason, the lights always seemed pretty big. But he balled out last night, and it was huge for Atlanta, though. Huge for Atlanta. Huge because it was in the conference. I think the South, other than Carolina, God, I know we're going to talk about that.
We'll get there.
But other than them, the NFC South, which I thought would have been the weak of the divisions in the NFC conference, seems to be the strength. I mean, the Bucks, the Bucks, the Saints, being
Oh,
undefeated.
when
The
they
Bucks
come
being
marching in,
undefeated.
woo.
Right. So for Atlanta to have that kind of win against a team like the Eagles is definitely huge. I'm still don't understand the Michael Penix thing because I feel like they're just wasting talent behind Kirk Cousins, but we're here.
This whole quote that I'm going to give you that Kirk Cousins says was basically how you like that in a nutshell. How you like that?
Yeah.
But this is what he said. That's how you put together a great season. Again, how you like that. When you
Yep.
have these games that could go either way, you find a way to have it break your way. You find a way to have it break your way. That's the way the league is. And so when we can find those inches, it can really change the tail of a season. How you
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
Cousins' counterpart, Jalen Hurts, could not make it count down the stretch as his other one did. Remember, like you said, Tristan, there was no A.J. Brown. That deep threat was not there. Hurts, 23 of 30, 180 yards, 1 INT. He 13 carries, 85 yards, 4 touchdowns came on the ground. Saquon Barkley in his home debut, 22 carries, 95 yards. Barkley dropped a pass, Tristan. This almost didn't even have to happen. Barkley dropped a short pass that stopped the clock with 146 left and forced the Eagles to settle for a field goal instead of a game-stealing first down. Hurts' lone interception, the Eagles' final drive to try to regain the lead and try to win it, a final pass intercepted by Jesse Bates III. They were 15 yards at that point away from what would have been maybe a game-winning field goal. Thinking to myself, Tristan, watching this game, one, they went for two. I think they went for two. They didn't. They went for fourth. Went on it on fourth down. They didn't go for. There was a lot of things that could have went away. They went there. Didn't go for fourth down. Ended up not being able to kick the field goal, which would have cost them points. Penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty in this game for the Eagles. They went a whole third quarter without a penalty and then got one at the end. That defense, talk about was it irresponsible? Sirianni saying we thought we were going to give them a chance to score 7, and they ended up scoring 7. Talk about the irresponsibleness of not pressuring, no blitzing that last drive, the Falcons. Kirk Cousins was standing there with so much time. It seemed like they started the drive, and next thing you know, we looked up and they were at the 10-yard line. It was almost first and goal for the Falcons. That secondary looked kind of wonky. What does this say about the Eagles? Is it a long season ahead? Hopefully we're not looking for how the fall from grace was just such a domino effect last year. Talk about that last drive against that defense in that last drive.
Well, let's talk about the drive before that. Did Jalen Hurts get his money?
Well, yeah,
Did he get paid?
he's
Okay.
supposed to.
Devonta Smith got his money, right? He got paid, right?
Supposed to get paid.
Saquon Barkley got paid, right?
Yeah, this is supposed to be a change. This is supposed to be the time where he feels like his self-worth is back after what happened with the Giants. But he said he let his team down as well.
So yeah, the players are supposed to play.
Yeah.
You paid your stars. I mean, listen, people make comment about the coach's decision on that third down, the third down play, that third down call, and and all that jazz. And listen, players play.
Yeah.
Players play, and you paid them. Devontae got his money. Jalen Hurts got his money. Saquon got his money. You pay to make those plays, and now I'm glad that he owned I'm glad that he owned it because he dropped the ball. He did. Like that's on him. He dropped it. He dropped the pass. It was the right call. The situation was right. What's going on, y'all? Shout out to the Flex
Shout
Zone.
out to the Flex Zone.
We
Whom I wouldn't be if it wasn't for them.
That's
And then
right.
we have
That's
these
right.
conversations all the time. What's up, fellas?
The origin story. That's right. But that like you're paid to make that play. You're paid for those situations. Like with the Eagles getting Saquon, it's like, okay, well the Eagles should be back in the Super Bowl. Like that was the conversation. So you were supposed to make those plays. You didn't. So now we're talking about everybody's harping on the defense, this defense, that defense, this defense, that. The game should have been over already. Kirk Cousins should have never seen the field. He should have never seen the field in those final minutes. But it happened, and Kirk Cousins did what Kirk Cousins do, and now we could look at Fangio and figure out why didn't you blitz Kirk Cousins up in the middle, knowing that he wasn't mobile and couldn't move around. You kind of gave him a clean pocket, and like whether you like Kirk Cousins or not, one thing about Kirk Cousins, if he got a clean pocket, he gonna hurt you. Like that's
Yeah.
one thing with him. Like say what you want about him, if you give that man some time, he gonna hurt you, and that's what he did. As far as for Jalen Hurts interception, again, this is what I'm saying. You're paid to not make those kind of plays. You were sitting on you saw a cover three spread. Your receiver went into a curl and you saw a high low. You had to see it because when the ball got there, I saw it. You had a high low situation where your safety was down, your corner was up, and put I forgot who the wide receiver was. I think it was Devontae. You put him in a frame where he's covered, and you kind of lollipop the ball. Didn't rifle it or anything. You kind of lollipop the ball to give the corners, the DBs, time to react to the ball. They know that you're trying to make that out throw. They know that. They know your tendency. You try to make that out throw, and you did it. You were late. You were late on the throw, and you kind of lollipop the throw. That's what's going to happen to you when you got an all-pro safety and Jesse Bates sitting back there watching what you're doing. So again, these are growing pains. These are growing moments. Now, how they respond, going forward is going to say a lot because this is the type of game and the way they lost, where you can either build from it and learn and keep going, or you can wallow in it, and now it's becoming toxic for the season. Because guess what? AJ Brown ain't gonna be here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Y'all gotta do life without AJ Brown. Y'all brought Saquon over. You paid Devontae Smith his money. Y'all gotta make it work.
Do we forget? People forget how hard it is to play in the NFL. You think the Eagles go 10-1. You think they're marching, they're going to come and march down and they're going to continue to do well. People also forget how hard it is to get back to the Super Bowl. If anybody watched Receiver and you watched Debo talking about how they've made it out of being able to do the last 3 or 4 years, and you think you come in the league and you think, oh, I'm going to make it to the Super Bowl. Well, if we didn't get it this time, we're going to get it again. It's damn hard.
Sure.
And I think when you watch the Eagles, you get caught up in this fantasy of the first year and Hurts and how everything looked, and Nick Sirianni coming in and changing the game and how he did. We're also forgetting Steichen's no longer there. So, and what they were able to do that first year, second year rolls around, they're winning these hard-nosed games. They're coming down to the last minute. This is another game where it came down to 7 or less, and they could not provide. And then here we are this year trying to figure out who the Eagles are and what identity they hold, especially after how the domino effect just went down. So you think, oh, they lose 1, maybe they'll lose 2. But they just kept losing and losing and losing and kept getting worse and getting worse. And you never felt like they could put a finger on what was making things happen the way it did. Sure. Hopefully this doesn't turn into a situation where they're looking at the same effect.
Hopefully, but one of my one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite movies all time, and Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership. And if you saw the attitude on Nick Sirianni, the head coach, after that game, hey man, listen, if you gonna act like that, if you want to be like that, how do you think your team's going to respond? Your quarterback can't be the only mature person in the room.
Yeah.
You're the head coach. It's all good when y'all winning, but when y'all lose, you want to have like a little pity party. It don't work like that. So, Nick Sirianni, we looking at you, buddy.
Speaking of Nick, they made a couple more plays than we did down the stretch. We made some plays, they made more, and that's on all of us. That starts with coaching, goes down to the players. We are all responsible for this loss. Let's go to a couple of guys. We go from Monday night to a couple of guys that just joined the club. So we're calling this the rookie effect. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, the Commanders. Everybody beats the Giants. They damn sure better beat the Giants. If you didn't beat the Giants, I'm going in the bushes like Homer Simpson. Both of us are. At this point, I don't care about a new GM. I don't care. Dan Quinn, you better not mess this up because I have to like a cowboy, a former one. I don't know what I want to do about this, but hey, they beat the Giants. Commanders winners over the Giants, 21-18. They're 1-1. Jaden Daniels, 23 of 29, 226 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He also didn't throw a pick. 10 carries, 44 yards on the ground. He gets his first career win. NFC East quarterbacks through week 2. Dak, we'll talk about you a little later. Dak, 472 yards, 2 touchdowns. You got 2 picks, 15 rushing yards, 87.4 passer rating. Jalen Hurts, 278 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 118 rushing yards, 84.5 RTG. DJ, 364 yards, 2 touchdowns. Y'all know who Daniel Jones is. We call him DJ. You might not want to say his name if you live in the tri-state area. 364 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 47 rushing yards. He ain't getting out of that. He ain't getting out the pocket at all. 66.6 RTG. Jaden Daniels, JD, 410 yards, 2 touchdowns. And with all that's going on, Tristan, all these other names you just named in the NFC East, he's leading in 3 categories. He hasn't thrown a pick. The other guys have. 132 rushing yards on the ground, 97.2 RTG. How have you liked his first 2 games? Can we get a generational quarterback? Jesus. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I have to put. I don't know if I put him in generational category because I'm very particular about that word. If you tuned into my other show, you know my disdain for that word generational, and we'll get into that a little later as well.
Yeah.
Generational talent, but he is elite though.
Yeah.
He is a Heisman Trophy winner, a great dual threat, and he's showing it. I've been fairly impressed with his first 2 games. You can see that Cliff Kingsbury is definitely protecting him as far as the play calling is concerned. You could tell that they are communicating after every game because you can see that you can see that uh, that there are certain plays from the first game, certain plays from the first game that he didn't do that they implement in this. So I'm encouraged just to see the growth. I think what I've been trying to tell everybody, and now that we got our show back on, I'm going to let the people know. Do not look at this season based on wins and losses.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done. Do not look at this season with wins and losses when it comes to the Commanders. You got to let this regime give them time to feel this out. All this is an evaluation of Jaden Daniels. That's it. That's it. Don't look at it for wins and losses. Yes, some of the losses are going to hurt. Some of the wins are going to feel great, but you have to keep the attention on the long term. This is all about what Jaden Daniels looks like, how he's developing. Every week, I'm looking at how he's growing, how he's developing. I want to see more of now. Now, I want to see him starting to dare the throws in the middle. I want to see him take more of the deep shots and get him and Scary Terry connected and Dami Brown connected down the field. Like those are the things I want to see next in the next progression. I also want him to be more careful. Understand that you are no longer the fastest man on the field, and they can catch you and they can tag you. Like you got the wind knocked out of you on Sunday. I felt like I had PTSD watching my quarterback on the ground from RG3
Mhm.
years. I was nervous, but I'm
Please
glad he's not
slide. I'm
back up.
begging you. They're teaching them how to
You know,
slide. I'm proud of that.
exactly, exactly. So this is all about growth. This is all about growth. It's all about development of not only him but the team. This is a whole new overhaul. We haven't had a legit GM in so long. We got Adam Peters. We got Dan Quinn at the head coach. We got Josh Harris that stays out the way. He's involved, but he's not involved. That's what you want your owner to do. Like let's give this regime time. Let's give them
What's your
time.
message to the fan base? Because you say wins and losses, but when you're sitting and you're waiting and the time
I
ticks
get
and
it.
ticks,
I
what
get
do
it.
you say? Because we're
You got to
looking at the
look.
Bengals next week, and you're thinking, this ain't gonna
It could
go
be an
unless,
L.
yeah,
It could be an L. But that's what I'm saying. You have to look at these games with a deeper lens. If they lose, how did they lose? Did they
yeah,
look inept? You know what I'm saying? Did they look like they weren't like the first game against the Bucks? I was upset because I expected them to lose that game, but not lose that way. They didn't look like they wanted to tackle. They didn't look like they were trying to help Jaden. Like he was literally put the game on his shoulders trying to will it, and it just couldn't happen. I can't say that for this game. This game, they look more disciplined. Uh, um, um, Baptiste was in at the corner. He looked sharp. You know what I'm saying? Made some good plays. So I was more encouraged with this game.
yeah.
Going against the Bengals, that's going to be another test. Let's see how they look. If there's improvement, if it looks like they're putting the effort, and it's just a matter of just them trying to get over the hump with it, figure it out. The game, people want to talk about the Giants and the Washington game and talk about Washington. Like, yeah, Washington won, but they had all field goals and they didn't punt. Realize the game could have been blown out even more, but we kept getting penalties in the red zone.
Yeah.
So that got to get cleaned up. So really, I counted. Really, I think the score was what 21-18. We
Mm-hmm.
really should have been in the 30s with the points. We really should have been in the 30s, but those penalties killed us in the red zone. So that's got to get cleaned up. So we want to see what this looks like. But they were moving down the field. They were
Yeah.
they were executing. But when it got to the red zone, just mental mistakes. Those things got to get cleaned up. So you got to look at the game with a deeper lens with Washington because they're really this to me and I had an argument with my boy Omar. Shout out to my big bro Omar because he was saying like we've had overhauls before, we've had rebuilds before. This to me feels like a real legit rebuilding of an organization
I agree. I
from
agree.
from
This feels
top to
like a
bottom.
change, a real change.
So it's and I get it. So, shout out to you, Alan. Saying as a fan, it's extremely difficult to look at the long term goals
My
during the season.
whispers, brother. What's up? We back.
Listen, I fully agree. I fully understand the frustration. It's been years. It's been so long. I get it. But we have to give this regime. Look at where we've come from. Dan Snyder, Bruce Allen, a,
Yeah.
a lot of bad decisions took place. We have to give these guys a chance to figure this out.
I'm still mad at Bruce Allen. Oh, nothing's wrong. If I ever see him out on the street, it's gonna be a big misunderstanding.
It's
What do you
on
mean
site.
nothing's
I
going?
feel
What
you.
do you mean
It's
nothing's
on site.
going on in the
It's
nation?
on
What do
site.
you
I
mean? What are
feel you.
you looking at?
I
You're the
feel you.
problem. Anyways, we go to Chicago. Another rookie, Caleb Williams, the number one draft pick to be exact. 23 of 37, 174 yards. He didn't throw a touchdown. He threw two picks. He was sacked 7 times in this game, Tristan. 5 carries, 44 yards on the ground in a 19-13 loss to the Texans on Sundays. The Bears are 1-1. They barely got out of the first game of the season. This one, it just looked a little sloppy towards the end. He was able to evade the rush and get on the perimeter a few times, but then he has to be careful when he gets out there, Chicago coach Matt Eberflus said. So there were some great learning moments for him. Seems like we're in the same boat with these two guys, especially
Oh
with the
yeah,
mobility.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Again, like with Caleb Williams is show what Caleb Williams is realizing right now is that, oh, I can't be Superman here. This is a different level.
Hmm.
He's been the best player on the field from the time he was over here in Gonzaga, right down the street,
Right down the
to
street. Well, your street.
being
I'm up here.
well, exactly. To being able to um, and you know, all the way up to USC. So from Gonzaga to Oklahoma to USC, he's been the best player. You're not the best player right now. They want you to be, but you're not right now. Like these defenses, these athletes are just as
No.
fast. They're strong. They will catch you, and he's learning that. Some of the hero ball he used to do, he can't do it in this league. I mean, he can, but he got to pick his spots. Now, what I will say is that and again, I've said this on the other show. I know I've said that a lot, but we cover NFL. That's what we do. The I am shocked that everyone knew that Chicago was taking Caleb Williams number one overall. I'm shocked that Hugh Uber is still the head coach. I thought they would have fired him and tried to get an offensive minded coach. When you have a quarterback like Caleb coming out that is a quote unquote generational talent. I tell you, I have a thing about that word. Generational talent. That's what they said. That's what they said. Okay. When you have a quarterback coming out that's dynamic like that, I'm shocked that you're giving Hubris another chance. The reason why I'm shocked about it is because what I'm looking at is what Justin Fields struggled with last year.
Yeah.
Now you gave Caleb Williams more toys, but the struggle is still the same. Your offensive line is not consistent. So he can't even get himself settled in. And then some of the play calling, like some of the plays, how the formations came out, is not his skill set. And it doesn't look good. You're kind of handcuffing him. So if you're gonna do that with him, he's going to struggle. And the one thing with him, his brain he's very intelligent. He's really not I don't think he's the kind of personality that's gonna sit there and allow you to do that to him in his career. So hopefully this is something that gets cleaned up. Or else we're probably going to hear a little more chirping from him. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. Like he's not going to hold
Hmm.
himself, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to what he's doing. He might say it in a way that might seem professional, but he ain't going to hold it to himself. So they better be careful. Now, Keenan Allen, I think he was dealing with a calf injury or hamstring injury, something like that. At his age, you don't know when he's going to be available. So now you're relying DJ Moore and Adunze to be the people, to be the receivers for him. You got Swift in the backfield. You got those two tight ends with Mercedes Lewis, and I forgot the other kid's name. You got those two tight ends there. You can be a little more creative with the ability that Caleb has, the arm talent that he has, the ability to move around. You can be more creative than what I've seen thus far. So I put some of it on Caleb, but he's a rookie. He's going to go through the rookie struggle. He's got to learn. But I also put more of the onus on the coaching because the offense that you're putting around him doesn't seem to be effective.
I'm gonna throw somebody else at you, and this is not a quarterback. Someone else that heard a lot of chitter chatter last week, and he came out and did his thing. I didn't even write down the numbers on him, but Marvin Harrison Jr. What's your assessment on that one? What a damn catch, wasn't it? What a Sunday for him.
Now that is a generational talent. Be that big, the wingspan, catch radius that he can have, the speed, that's generational talent. That is a that is when we saw Calvin Johnson and Julio come out, and we didn't really see anybody else come out quite like that. He's it. And it's not to say it's not to disrespect um it's not to disrespect the Odell Beckhams of the world. It's not to disrespect the Jamar Chases of the world. You know what I'm saying? None of that. It's not to disrespect the Justin Jeffersons of the world. But there's a certain thing where you see a wide receiver that's like built in a lab that looks like an alien. And I mean that in the most positive way. Like literally is like a freak of nature. That is Marvin Harrison Jr. It's how we looked at Julio. It's how we looked at Calvin. These guys that are just like, nah, you different, buddy. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. And with Kyler Murray being a little more mature, getting, a little more wise with the offense, seemed a little more comfortable. Seemed like he's past that injury, the knee injury he had, because he was running around like how my toddler runs around when she don't want to listen. He was running around the same way. He looks good. So to have a receiver at that tier, I mean,
you're gonna have to play Arizona this year.
Man, listen, he going hurt us. I ain't even gonna hold you. Our secondary ain't no match for him. That he had 4 receptions for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Mm.
The last time you heard those kind of numbers was Randy Moss against the Cowboys.
They showed the split screen of that, and
that's
Randy
what I'm
looking
saying.
in the camera.
He did all of that in the first quarter.
Ugh.
I want y'all to understand that Marvin Harrison Jr. he came in and it was like, ooh, barring injury or he do something stupid, it's a walking gold jacket all the way. That's how I named him. Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones. It's not to discredit the other receivers that have come into the league that have been superstars, been starred, bona fide. It's just a few of them that come in like that, and you're like, whew.
We're talking like Dave Chappelle or Allen Iverson talking about Michael Jordan.
Yes, like Marvin Harrison Jr. is different. He's different.
Are you seeing the sequence of this show is all football families? Oof.
Yeah.
All football.
I mean, listen, it kills me because it kind of gives me a reminder of my age, because it's like, God, I watched a lot of y'all daddies play.
Your father. We're definitely at the age where I can say, damn, I remember when your mama was pregnant with you.
Listen. Every time they showed a little clip of little Steph Curry on the court with Del Curry, and I'm like, I watched your dad play, and I watched you run around as a little kid. That's scary to me. It's scary to me. But especially with these NFL guys, the fact that we're watching Arch Manning, the nephew of Peyton and Eli, the fact that we're looking at Marvin Harrison Jr., we saw Frank Gore Jr. Like, it's, I don't know what to say. We're seeing Bronny going to be with his dad. It's
something
crazy.
in the water. Nepotism at its finest, but it's beautiful to see, especially when it has our faces on it. You know what I'm saying? From first year guys to a second year guy where it just hasn't been able to translate form. Panthers benching number 1 overall draft pick Bryce Young. Andy Dalton will start week 3. The Red Machine is back. The Panthers fell 0-2 on Sunday after a 26-3 stopping by the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll talk about them a bit later. In week 1, they were torched by the resurgent New Orleans Saints 47-10. Young has been struggling mightily over those 2 games with 1 touchdown this season, Tristan, on a 3-yard rush against the Saints, but nothing in the air so far. He has, however, thrown 3 interceptions and is 31 of 56 passing for 245 yards. Some notes on Young before his benching, and this is courtesy of Mike Kay, who covers them for the Charlotte Observer. Young hadn't thrown a regular season touchdown pass since December against Green Bay. That was week 16. He produced 4 interceptions in his past 4 regular season games. He averaged 4.4 yards per throw and 7.9 yards per completion over the past 2 weeks. Bryce says he's shocked. He came out of nowhere. A lot of rumblings of the fact that the GM was the only man that wanted Bryce Young. Nobody else wanted to draft Bryce Young. We talk about the size. We talked about his inability, but there was an ability in Alabama, or did Alabama just make him look that damn good? Is he solely to blame for what's going on? A lot of people, shout out to Courtney Smith. She posted saying, I don't know if you know Courtney.
Oh,
saying
of
that
course.
it's unfortunate that he has to take some of the blame because this is not all on him. I'm asking you the question: Is what's going on with the Panthers solely on Bryce Young? Is this bench warranted?
Absolutely not. And anyone that says it's solely on Bryce Young, you're being a hater. Absolutely not. Anyone that's watching have seen what the Carolina Panthers have done in the last, not even before Bryce got there, in the last 2, 3 years. If anyone has seen what the Carolina Panthers have done, had know that this is an organizational failure.
Mm,
And it starts from the very, very top in David Tepper, the owner. It's him. He's the reason that the Carolina Panthers are where they are. He's the reason why Bryce Young. If you had to put it, I would probably say 30% Bryce Young, 70% David Tepper.
mm.
That's my opinion. Because Bryce Young got to take some accountability of this. You got to take some accountability of this. But David Tepper is the one that messed this up. First of all, you knew you were drafting this kid and you trade away your number one receiver in DJ Moore.
Mm.
You trade away your number one receiver, and you knew you were going to get a QB. Let's even go back before that. How you dealt with the Cam Newton situation? How you dealt with Cam? That was terrible right then and there. How you dealt with Cam was terrible because you knew that shoulder was bad and he needed time to heal up, and you made that be the excuse for why you wanted to release him. You knew his shoulder was bad. You knew that when you brought him back. And then you went ahead and traded Christian McCaffrey. You wanted to get this big overhaul. You have not done a thing. You traded DJ Moore. You traded Christian McCaffrey. You traded Brian Burns. All these elite talents on your roster, and you've done nothing. Your offensive line is is barely one ply toilet paper. Every time Bryce Young gets the ball, you see him people coming in the backfield every single time. And he don't even have time to shed his feet. So now he just looks gun shy back there. The throw that he tried to make to Adam Thielen, where Adam Thielen tried to dive and catch it, and he was just way off. It wasn't the fact that he's an inaccurate thrower. It's the fact that he don't trust when he's going to get hit. So he trying to get the ball out of his hands before he get hit. When you got your QB seeing ghosts like that, like Sam Darnold says, seeing ghosts, it's a problem. You hired Frank Wright, who was supposed to be like the whisperer for these quarterbacks. Look what he did with Nick Foles, with the Eagles. That's how he got the job down there with the Colts and all that stuff. You brought him in as the head coach. Now you saw how he didn't have that much success with the Colts. You brought him in as the head coach for the Carolina Panthers. You fired him after 11 games. Even though before that you fired Steve Wilkes, who actually had the team winning. You fired him kind of like Jim Caldwell move in Detroit. So you fired Steve Wilkes for basically no reason. Then you went ahead and tried to get uh 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 uh, Frank Wright in there, fired him after 11 games. Then you went ahead to draft Bryce Young. You did all those trades. You brought this
Mm.
coach in that barely wet behind the ears, but he had some success with Baker. He had some success with the quarterbacks. So you thought it would be good. And then 2 games into the season, you were benching your number one pick
Mm.
in year two. Two
Mm.
games in, 2 games in, when you only in the preseason you only played him for one series in the preseason for a guy that was a rookie last year that getting a new system, a new offensive system implemented. You played him for one series, and then after 2 games, you say, "Oh,
You never gave him a chance at this
you
point.
never gave him a chance. You never gave him a chance." So at this point now, barring injury, Andy Dalton's probably going to remain the starter. You're going to probably try and draft another quarterback in a draft class that is not stellar, and basically rinse and repeat because you're not doing the work that you need to do to build the roster the proper way. You need to build your offensive line. You need to get another legitimate pass rusher. You need to develop your receivers. Your coaching staff can't. We don't even know what this coaching staff could do because they're brand new. We don't even know what potential you have. But to bench your number one pick of last year, this is the first time that a number one pick has been benched this quickly. Jamarcus Russell didn't even get this kind of treatment.
Mm.
You are insane. But it starts with David Tepper. And the Carolina Panthers should absolutely be ashamed of themselves for what they've done to this young man, what you've done to his confidence, what you've done to this fan base as a fan base, what you have done. You guys are not that far removed from playing in the Super Bowl.
No,
And
no.
look what you have done
You
to
were
this
just
team.
dabbing what, give or take 5, 6 years ago.
And you have destroyed this team. You have destroyed it. To now it to it's I mean, I don't, there's not a worse team in the league.
And what's weird is all you could think about is Cam Newton and how they made coming to work look so easy. All you could think about is Luke Kuechly. All you could think about is these Julius Peppers. All you could do is think of these Carolina
Thomas
greats.
Thomas Dave Thomas Davis, Greg Olson, like you said, all these Carolina greats that have poured into this franchise and given everything, and you have literally destroyed it to make it irrelevant. They don't even look at no one even taking Carolina seriously.
No.
It's unbelievable. And I really feel bad for Bryce Young. I would want Bryce Young to get out of there, go to another team and sit and learn, recoup, you know. And you know it's the organization because Sam Darnold, we thought that was a good fit for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold looked crazy. Now it's Sam Darnold's in Minnesota looking awesome. You brought Baker in there. Baker Mayfield looked like he was about to be out of the league. He's in Tampa, undefeated, doing his thing in Tampa. So it's something with your organization. You are what Washington was. You're
Yeah.
exactly that. You're that squad now. It's no longer Washington. It's you, Carolina Panthers. You're the team that no one wants to go to. You're the team that has an owner that no one wants to play for. You're the team that's recycling head coaches, and you're about to start recycling quarterbacks. Well, you've been recycling because since Cam Newton has been gone, you have not found a replacement.
You're tuned in to episode 135 of your favorite sports podcast, Rolling with Ramos, the comeback edition. It's good to see y'all. We see y'all dropping them comments down below. Stay with us. We're
Appreciate it.
getting almost to the end. Tristan, this is great. I missed you, my brother. This next conversation takes us from a guy that's second year isn't going well to a guy that just health is the concern here. And I figured for this one, we can be open and honest. We have a segment here, if you ever watched Rolling Ramos in the past, because sports and society. Sports and society go hand in hand. There's nothing you can do that takes them away from each other. The most triumphs to tragedies have come from sports and the way we see the world. And I figured we can have an open and honest conversation about this conversation, Tristan. I figure you guys can have an open conversation with us. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa on IR, injured reserve today after QB suffered another concussion in Thursday's loss to the Buffalo Bills. To be on the list for at least 4 games. There's really no timetable, honestly, for how long Miami plans to keep him on IR as he focuses on health before his return. Tyler Huntley, will take over. It is his third diagnosed concussion of his career. The next 4 games will push Tua's career total of games missed due to injury to 14 since 2010. He played all 18 games of the Dolphins regular season last year, which we purely were very we got the best of that. He played all games last year into the regular season, the playoff games in 2023. Okay, so what came to mind to me today thinking about this, I know everybody's calling for retirement. Everybody's saying at some point, hey, you got to start thinking of you versus the player. We've been in instances where guys, I mean, we just talked about generational quarterbacks. And the only person that I see you not use that term loosely on and you let it fly is Andrew Luck. We've seen what happened to Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck said, I'm not going to do this anymore. You ain't going to have somebody coming at my ass all the time. If you don't give me an offensive line, I'm getting out of here. I'm already feeling it. God forbid, God rest his soul, if Junior Seau would have taken the time to realize there's life after football. Maybe we would have saw him go sooner. However, yet we sit on 60 Minutes and a guy like Ed Reed says, if I know what I know about concussions, give or take, I'm still going to be in the game of football. Tua has been a spokesperson for concussion. As soon as he got hit, Damar Hamlin, ironically, I said, "Oh," and you heard the helmet. You could feel it from your house. That's how hard it was. It's hard to tell somebody when to throw up the cleats, when to say goodbye. It's hard to do that. But when it comes to Tua, most importantly in this generation, because this is what he's wearing. He's wearing someone that can't stay there that long. Where is this conversation going? What do you think he's thinking right now?
I
Make sure y'all tell us how you feel too.
with the Tua situation, I watched the game and when I saw the hit and I saw his body react the way it did.
Thank God he walked off the field on his own power this time.
My initial reaction was, you got to hang it up. It was a hard hit, but it wasn't a vicious hit. It wasn't he didn't target him or nothing. It was a solid hit, but it was a routine tackle. And the fact that your brain has gotten to the point where it just cannot handle that kind of collision. And it can't guarantee what would happen to you the next time you take that kind of hit.
Yeah.
Does
the jiu-jitsu training even matter at this point?
I don't think it does. I don't think anything he could possibly do. You've had 3 devastating concussions in 2 years. And listen, I'm saying it from the comfort of my home. I'm saying this from the comfort of me not having to do this job. I'm saying it from the comfort of me not being responsible for my entire family's well-being, like not my immediate family, my entire family's well-being because of what these guys get paid. Like I'm saying this from such an easy place because of where I am. So I'm not here to make it seem like this is an easy decision or a no-brainer. But as a fan of the game, I would hate to watch a Dolphins game with Tua playing quarterback and he takes another hit like that and don't get up. It would really disturb me as a fan. And if it could disturb me as a fan, I can only imagine how it would disturb his family, those closest to him, his teammates, his coaches. It's just at some point you gotta put the person before the player, like you said. You gotta be like, man, listen, I know you want to play this game. You gotta think about it. These guys have been playing this game since they were 4, 5, 6 years old.
Yeah.
They went through Pee Wee, high school, to get recruited, to go to college, to win national championships, to get into the NFL where only 256 guys get picked. So that means if you're picked, not only are you one of the 256, but you were picked in the top 10, you're one of one. So that's hard to let go when you have been one of one for so long. You're in the 1 percentile of the population when it comes to athletic prowess. So I get it.
Yeah, those
That's hard to let go.
conversations. Not
It's
everybody
tough.
make it to the league.
It just don't happen. So when you are one that gets the opportunity, not only get the opportunity, but when you play and you're healthy, you're great. But your health has to it's not tearing up your knee like Adrian Peterson and being able to come back. It's not tearing up your shoulder like Drew Brees getting surgery and able to come back. This is your brain.
Yeah.
This is this is mental, psychological, physical, your brain. It's a matter of life or death in this kind of situation. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a situation where I'm watching the game and he gets hit and he doesn't get back up. Or even if he gets back up, he's never going to be the same.
Or remember
It
his
just,
life, or remember.
it's just, I just don't. And again, I'm sensitive of how I'm saying it because again, I'm speaking from the perspective of where I'm sitting. I couldn't imagine the pressure. I couldn't imagine the weight of being responsible, not only financially, but people's hopes and dreams rest on you. I cannot imagine that kind of weight. But my God, I just feel like your health to get that many concussions for your body to react like that means you're not going to be the same. Your body reacted the same way it did last year. So that means you're never going to be right. How many more of those are you going to take?
It's almost as if his body's used to that pain.
It's
And
it's not
and
good.
let me ask you this question. We love the game of football. You talk about the comfort of your home. I'm standing in the comfort of my home, and I'm also standing in the comfort of being a woman. I know we out there, we burning bras, and we got some female players out there. I'm
Shout out
not
to them.
having a Dominican Sue sister coming from me. I got to keep this face, okay?
That's right.
So I know that we've done so many things, but I have not played the game of football. I used to think on a nice Saturday or Sunday playing with the guys because I'm an ultimate tomboy, coming in the house with my clothes all green. I thought I was getting it in, but and I could score some touchdowns, but I have not played the game of football. I am a football person. I am a lover of the game. My son
Sure.
wants to play it, he'll play it, you know, and it'll be the ultimate testament for how I feel. I mean, my daddy gave me this sports. Oh, I'm damn sure pouring into my children.
Sure.
Tristan, you've played the game. You love the game. You had to take yourself away from the game, and
Yeah.
and at a younger age, and focus on the fact that I might not be able to do this how I want to do this.
Yeah.
Damar Hamlin has a heart attack on national television. Love my mama. Hey, Jennifer, we're having conversations, and she says he needs to hang it up. I said, Mom, he's not going to do that. He's going to be back. He's going to come down. As someone who has had congenital heart disease myself and has
Right.
had open
Right.
heart surgery, I knew he wasn't going to leave it alone. We see his trajectory in back. And even last week, we're saying it's so good to see him back on that field and doing what he's doing.
For sure.
They leave petitions. Women, parents leave petitions on how unfortunate the game of football is and how kids shouldn't be playing it. We've seen the movie Concussions. We've seen Junior Seau. We've seen the biggest of the biggest suffer at the hands of this game, but we love him so much. Tua goes through this again. We also talk about Pee Wee level, but teaching them how to tackle young and tackle the right way and eliminating some of the danger. Helmet to helmets, trying to get the helmets right, learning how to slide, learning how to tackle at the knee. Shoot, now you can't even tackle at the ankle. You mess around, mess up somebody's whole leg.
Yeah.
The game that we love, Tristan. Tua does this again. What does it speak for the conversation of the game of football?
Football stuff is always going to be around. The game is too much of a conglomerate. It's too popular. It's never going away. But people do have to be wise and understand the risks. No matter how much they try to change the rules, there's some kind of risk when you're asking guys at the size that they are that can run under 5 seconds to collide into each other full speed to basically test the will of the other man. Who's going to bend? Who's going to break? Like it's something about that. You just no matter how many rules you put into it, it's just you're asking these gladiators basically to will themselves physically to victory. Like it's hard. So you in Tua's case, the reason why I'm so adamant about it, him stepping away, is because it's your brain. It just there's no medicine that can help the brain. Even having brain surgery, the person's just not the same after. It just takes so much from you. And I just would hate at his age to have a life. You got to think about the fact that these guys play, even if they play 15, 20 years, they stop. So let's say just with for the quarterbacks, and then we've gotten to the point where now these guys can play till like they're 40. Tom Brady proved he can play 45, but that's still age 40. Like you and I aren't far from that age. We still feel
Mm.
like we got a lot of life to go. So imagine if after you play this game, you did so much damage to yourself that you just feel like you're on borrowed time now.
Mm.
Now you set your family up and all that stuff, but you just don't know what the effects afterwards are going to come from. And we're only looking at it from the NFL aspect. Again, these some of these players, you're talking about from Pee Wee to high school and college. Think of all the hits they've taken all those years. You're talking about 2, 3 decades worth of contact.
Yeah.
It's just you. I just if I was Tua's close friend or family member, I would really give him a hard plead of why not to continue playing. You got your money. You can do other things. No one's going to give you a hard time if you said you're going to hang it up. Everybody's going to understand because it's something that's still, as much as medicine has advanced, as much as technology has advanced, the human brain is still an oasis. It's still an unknown.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You just don't know.
If he decides to say goodbye, where are you putting Tua and his impact on the league? Or do we save this question? Is he a Hall of Famer?
No, no, he hasn't done remotely close enough to even consider
Yeah.
that. If anything, his impact would be if he was to retire.
I enjoy the fast game, the fast ball. That's a
Oh
little
yeah,
show.
for sure. But if he was to retire, um, his impact on the league would be about those concussions. That a
Mm.
person who had a promising career at the most important position, arguably in sports, had to call it quits
It's not even on the field. It's not. It would be nothing about the field. It would be about his time and how shortened it was on the field.
because of the concussions. It would raise more questions, just like when Junior Seau died. It raised more questions about this stuff because Junior Seau, outside of him trying to crack your head if you were on the offense side of the ball, was one of the most happy-go-lucky people around.
We.
And
I hate to
Hernandez,
bring.
same
I
thing.
about to say I hate to bring
He
this
raised
up
that too.
because I didn't. I kept. I keep thinking to myself, do I want to watch that documentary? Do I want to
I know.
glorify?
And right.
Do I want to glorify in watching it? Am I glorifying the demon? Because that's
Right.
what where that was. And I'm living in Bristol, and he was here. He's from here, so we have to move on. This conversation gave me chills. Best of Tua.
Hmm.
You can ride
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
You
Blessings,
ride
man.
off with love if you do.
I
How
listen.
is that easy to
It,
say?
it'd be no complaint, no hate from me if he was to say, "Hey, you know what? I gotta call it." Look, for Andrew Luck, I was devastated. Huge fan of Andrew Luck. He's the last generational talented quarterback that I've seen,
That's what I
in
say,
my
because that's the
opinion.
only one you don't use so loosely. We still
So I
waiting for him
mean,
to come back, ain't we?
as a fan, I wish, but I understood his reasoning based on what the Colts organization, where it was at the time. I understood his body could not handle that anymore. And when you see him, when he makes little appearances now, he looks so happy. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's what it's about, man. How are you living your life?
I know one thing, and the Colts fan base should be totally down on themselves for this. You had the audacity to boo Andrew Luck. I know one thing.
Now,
Miami, if he comes back, you better not boo Tua.
yeah, I think they won't because I think the fan bases saw everyone that saw how the Colts did Andrew Luck, they would know if their player ran to that kind of, I think they would handle it a lot better. And I do wish that one day that maybe Andrew Luck would be able to go back and they would give him his proper flowers that they should because he was a walking gold jacket.
Yeah.
Again, from I will always say it. He's the last generational QB I've seen.
Finishing up this NFL conversation as we Woosah breathe. We go into some lasting news and notes of the NFL from Sunday. One hardball's up, the other one's down, Tristan.
Yeah.
Chargers defeat the Panthers, as we know, 26-3. Justin Herbert. That man's still kicking, ain't he? Justin Herbert, 2 touchdown passes to Quentin Johnston. Jim Harbaugh era has begun in style. Have you liked what you saw so far?
Oh, absolutely. It's basically kind of what we expected. I mean, when we saw what he did with the 49ers, we saw what he did at Michigan, and he just seems to be going right for course, man. He's going to make Chargers look good. You give him a couple of years, and Chargers are going to be a juggernaut under him. I mean, they already look more physical than they ever did before. Already look more physical. So that alone, is the Jim Harbaugh effect because all his teams play physical. J.K. Dobbins, shout out to him. Yeah, shout outs to J.K. Dobbins. Looks great. I'm so glad he was able to bounce back from the injury-ridden seasons with the Ravens. He looks great over there with the Chargers right now. And we were worried about the receiving core, but they working it out. Because you lose Mike Williams, you lose Keenan Allen, but they're doing their thing, man. Like I said, shout out to Jim Harbaugh, man. He's a coach's coach. He knows how to get his team ready.
Disappointing loss, tough loss. It could have gone our way, but we didn't get it done. We're 0-2, but it's a 17-game season, and we'll be defined by the next 15 games. You're damn right, John Harbaugh. And I know a lot of people in Baltimore that was ready to drive up to Owens Mills and knock on your door personally. 26-23 loss to the Raiders. This was supposed to be a comeback game after they lost the first game of the season to the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson, 21-34, 247 yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw a pick. 5 carries, 45 yards on the ground. I understand that was a long stretch, that last play of the game. Keep running. I don't know what happened. Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 84 yards, 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers, 7 reception, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. The time factor, Tristan, is it time to panic in Baltimore? What the hell are they going to figure out this thing with Derrick Henry? At one point during the game, it seemed like it was working. You ran away from it. I'm going to ask you. No, I'm going to wait on this question. Maybe I'll ask you. Hold this question in your back pocket. We're going to wait after week 3. Shout out to Chanel Starling because she hooked me up with this question. Of course, she's a Pittsburgh fan, so in any degree, she doesn't like the Ravens anyway. But hold on to this question. Is Lamar clutch? He's just not clutch. Well, hold on to that.
You just want to hold it. Okay.
Hold on to that. We'll wait another week.
Okay. But in regards of the first question you asked about the panic, so here's the problem. You somewhat got to panic, and I'm gonna tell you why. There's 2 major problems
Super
the Ravens
Bowl
have right now.
1. This is a Super Bowl team. I'm sorry.
It's two major problems that the Ravens are having right now. 2. Your offensive line is terrible. That's number 1. It's awful. 2, y'all don't know what to do with Derrick Henry. Those were 2 major things that are going to derail your season if you don't figure it out. Ain't no way that you had the lead in the 4th quarter and Derrick Henry only touched the ball 3 times. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Y'all don't know what to do with Derrick Henry on the football field. Y'all acquired him, and y'all have no idea how to use him with Lamar Jackson because you don't want to take the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hand. But the whole point was that y'all struggled outside of Lamar. You struggled running the football. Derrick Henry is supposed to alleviate that, and y'all don't even give him the touches. We can't even say, "Oh, Derrick Henry washed." We don't know because he ain't touching the ball enough for us to know.
You almost forget that he was on the sideline.
Exactly. Those are your major issues. Your offensive line is bad. You don't know what to do with Derrick Henry.
Cowboys took a whomping 44-19 by the Saints. See, this is my problem. I'm not a big fan of Jerry Jones, and I know he wants to see one more championship before he goes to the upper room. I personally think that he takes black talent, and when he can't get what he want to get out of him anymore, he disposes of them. EI Des Bryant, because Des Bryant should have been in the league even longer, even if it was for another team. And these guys pledge so much allegiance to the Cowboys. And then on top of that, you don't want to pay them at all. But if you pay a Cowboy, EI Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb still has to get in football shape. It's not connecting. You don't know what you're going to get once you pay them. That's the highest paid in the NFL as far as QBs right now, 44-19. Dare I say it, and this is the last subject we leave on. Who needs this win more this week? The Cowboys or the Ravens?
I would say the Ravens, because the Cowboys are doing things that they're not shocking to me. The Cowboys are always inconsistent. They're still going to win till 10, 12 games. They'll get that. That's just it's par for course. They're talented enough, but they're inconsistent. They've always been like that. So I think more so the Ravens, because what's your excuse? Okay, especially for Lamar. What's the excuse? We got you a running back. We got you one of the best in the league. We got you receivers. Your offensive line is terrible, but you've worked with worse. Like, what's going to be the excuse? Your defense, the defense looks like it's regressed. So something is wrong in Baltimore. So there's more to lose for Baltimore side than the Cowboys. The Cowboys lose, people are going to be like, okay, well, you are who we thought you were. If the Ravens lose, something is wrong. And if it becomes a trend after that game that they're losing, something's got to change. And I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't going to be the quarterback.
The guy whose hot seat's been in the hot seat since the hot seat, and Lamar helped that hot seat. Does it have to be detrimental? Do we need to see him? This can't be a close game. They have to whoop them. They have to really come out there and put up some points against the Cowboys.
I won't even so much say that, because the Cowboys roster on paper is a talented roster, but you have to beat them.
Yeah. Sure. However way you do it, you just got to beat them.
You got to beat them.
I closed the book. I ain't got nothing left. How do you feel? We back.
It was great. Like I said, we're back in the fold. We said we weren't going to talk about a lot, but we ended up talking about a lot because it was a lot to talk about. So, yeah, I mean, it just feels good to be back and talking about multiple sports, and I'm excited for us to get back going. We're going to soon get guests on here as well to join us. It's going to be a good time.
Make sure you stay tuned in, America. It was good to see you. Thank you, everybody that commented and watched in. I hope you go back and rewatch the show. Tristan, when we get off this thing, I ain't even going to hit you up. It's time to go sleep. I will talk to you tomorrow. And just like I say it every week, I haven't said it in a long time, but just like I say it every week, it doesn't still rhyme. I don't know why I keep saying this. I just want to do what I want to do. Forget y'all. I'm Mikhail, like Kevin McHale, America. Peace.
Peace.